Welcome to lesson 3. This is all about the weigh scale. And this weigh scale I've had for, I think, 4 years now. I've had different ones over the years. This one's great because it gives you the point to point 4, point 6, point 8. It doesn't do, point 1, point 2, etc. But it does give a breakdown. It's not just 1 pound. Of course, growing up, I had ones that were just a dial or whatever it is. So, you can't see that it's half a pound. So these ones are really handy. I got this just at a department store. So if you have a weigh scale that can show the decimal point, that would be helpful. But any weigh scale will help. Ideally, if you can get a weigh scale that you can weigh every day, that's really, really key. And I'll talk about that more in the future. But having a weigh scale that's handy, easy to get to, I have mine under my bed. I can just pull it out in the morning and use it. As I talked about in lesson 1 and 2, I am representing snacks, a general idea of some snacks, and there's 9 of them that I've chosen to show you and show the sugar and carb content. And so in this lesson number 3, I'm going to give you an idea of another snack that I'm going to be talking about in lesson 10, 11, 12. Yep, cinnamon buns. That one's a little bit more obvious compared to some of them, but it will be still surprising to you probably, just as it was to me. So stay tuned for that module number 4, lesson 10, 11, 12, where we're going to be talking about carbs and sugar. Lesson 3 is a practical guide to choosing a realistic goal weight. There was never a diet that I went on when I was yo-yo dieting that actually said, what is your goal weight and what is a way to determine your goal weight? Now, I had been up and down around 50 pounds, my lowest to my highest, over those 40 years, up and down, and I had never gotten, well, actually 35 years, I'd never gotten into the obese category until the last 5 or 6 years. And so, but 50 pounds is a lot. That's a lot of clothes sizes. And I sort of said, okay, I want to get down to 125 or 130, or I'd have, a place where I wanted to get down to because I'd been there before. But if you've been overweight for a long time or obese for a long time and you don't remember what it was like back there, you don't quite know where to go back to. Most people I've talked to, they will aim for the higher number because they think they can maybe reach it. Say they used to be 130 in their 20s. I never ever talk about people trying to get to their teenage weight or their high school weight because you actually haven't finished growing till around age 25. From 25 onwards, what was a weight that you liked yourself at if you were slimmer back then? How do we decide on our personal goal weight? What is the goal weight that we want to get to? Not what our doctor said, not what other people said. What is it that we want? There's factors to consider. Like I said, I never ever was on a diet that talked about this. So as I've been figuring this out for myself, it's like, okay, this is a no-brainer. We should always be thinking about this. When we have this goal, we just say, I want to lose weight. I want to be the weight I was at age 20. Well, or 25. But why? Like, why should we be at that weight? So let's think this through. So what did we weigh in our 20s and ideally after age 25, after we've finished growing, all of our bodies finished growing? What was that weight? Now, if we were overweight at that point, that's one we're just going to mark off the list. We're not going to look at that one because we want to see what our ideal body would be like if we hadn't been overweight at that point. And we might not know. We might not know if we've been overweight our whole lives. What are our genetics? What is the family, background? What is my current BMI? Or what is your current BMI? What is it right now? So we want to know what it is right now, and we want to know what is the normal BMI for your height. And so those 4 things you just sort of want to be thinking about and saying, okay, it's not just one number. Let's think about a lot of things and do these things play a role? We want to be flexible in this. And this is something that I discovered as I was losing the weight and I realized I had a goal weight and then I changed it. I lowered it a little bit and then I lowered it another little bit because I realized that, okay, I actually want to have a little bit lower BMI. I like how I look in the clothes. I like how I feel if I'm at a certain weight. Being flexible part, and it can be 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds difference. between what your original goal is and what your final goal is. So keeping that flexible is a good plan. How do we find our current BMI? A lot of people disagree with the BMI calculator. It is just a tool, just like the weigh scale. This is a tool. There are so many tools that we can use to help us lose weight. The BMI calculator is just a tool and it is helpful, but we don't have to put all of our emphasis on it. It's just a tool for us to have a gauge, for an idea of where we want to get to. You go to Google, you type in BMI calculator, you enter your height and your current weight, and you click calculate BMI and you write that down. When I did this, my BMI was, I think, 35. So it was above normal. It was into the obese category. How do we find our goal BMI? So our goal BMI would be, what do we think we want to be at? So for me, my goal BMI when I was 210 pounds, I said I want to be down to below 25. But I didn't quite know where below 25. 25 and below is in the normal weight category. And so you can just put in some numbers. So Google BMI calculator, go to that place again, enter your height, enter the weight you would like to be. So say you are 250 pounds and you want to be 150 pounds. So type in your height, type in 150 pounds and see what, when you click calculate BMI, see what that is, and is that under 25 BMI for normal weight? Maybe 150 at your height isn't. So put in another number, put 140 pounds in, see what that is, and see if you can get to a goal of under 25 BMI. Now that's sort of the first goal, just to get into the healthy range. Some of your health conditions will improve just getting it into that normal range. This is why doctors use this. This is an example of a BMI chart. Now this is from Wikipedia, so I have the link at the bottom. Basically it's BMI Wikipedia. So it shows it in a visual way, and I love colors, love visuals. This was shocking to me. I never even saw this until recently when I've been working on this course. I never actually saw this and Googled it. But the colors, like I was actually bordering into the severely obese category. So what I did was I screenshotted this, put it into my graphic design program, put in the lines to show where it was, and I was like, oh my goodness, I was almost into the severely obese category. And when I lost the weight, I was smack in the middle in the normal category. So that was very eye-opening. So I'm glad I get to show this to you. I wish I had seen this in the past. It's one more thing, a piece of the puzzle to say, oh, this is going to help me on my goal. And it's going to be a very big puzzle at the very end in terms of a lot of pieces that will help you. Just things to remind yourself, things to remember. And the more things we have, then if one thing doesn't work, we don't throw the towel in and we can still keep on the path towards our goal weight. So this is just one more of those tools. So this is hopefully going to help you when you are looking at your BMI and you say, okay, where do I want to be? What color do we want to be in for better health? Let's try to be in the green zone. Another BMI calculator, there's a whole bunch out there on Google. So this one is in WebMD, and I put in my original, what I weighed and my height when I was at my heaviest. And there was almost 2 years I wasn't weighing myself. I was too afraid to look at the weigh scale. So I know I was probably over 210 pounds, which is 34.9, so almost 35 on the BMI calculator. And then when I lost the weight, and then now I was down to 125 or 130 pounds, my BMI is down in the smack in the middle of the healthy range. So this was a different looking chart. It's not as visual with the graph. Try these two and see. You're wanting to see, okay, in that healthy range, what's the highest? 24.9 in the BMI, so just under 25. What is that weight based on my height? So that can be your first goal, and to know you might change it as you go along. I'm not wanting you to be in the underweight category. That was never my goal. There's a reason why it's called underweight. So the goal is not to be super skinny in this. The goal is to be in the healthy weight range and a place where you are happy with and you can maintain it for a long time and you like how you look. So this section, I talk about 3 different analogies related to extra meals stored. Now, I'm not going to go into details about insulin right now, even though I will talk about it a bit. I talk about that more in the intermittent fasting lessons, but this one is just about extra meals stored. So if we understand that our body is holding on to extra meals in terms of we took in more food than we needed at the time and our bodies stored it for us. So we can thank our bodies for that. It's efficient. It's not just wasting it. We took the food in and our bodies decided to store it for us. So these analogies hopefully will be a visual cue for you to think through when you are realizing that your body has stored energy. This one's the car analogy. We think about when the tank is full of gas, we don't need extra gas to fill it up because we know if we're at the gas station and we're filling it up and we kept pumping the gas, it would spill out. So, they have a mechanism to say, okay, it's done. Well, for our bodies, we don't always have that off switch to say, okay, it's done. It's full, but we want to go to the gas station again. And what happens? Well, it was going to spill out. What are we going to do? Well, let's put it in some red gas containers. I mean, very few people use this nowadays. When I was growing up, we didn't live in an area where there was a lot of gas stations. We lived out in the middle of nowhere, and my dad would have extra gas cans in the back of the car if we were going on a long trip or something. There just wasn't as many gas stations around. So there was a reason for that, to store extra. But then we would use it up. And I think it would go bad actually if you didn't actually use it up. So these red cans or these red containers would have a purpose at that point, but you didn't usually have very many, maybe one or two. What if we kept going to the gas station? What would we do with it? Okay, well, we got to get a trailer. Like they're going to fall off the top of the roof. This is a funny analogy, but go with me here. So we would literally get a trailer and we'd put these gas cans in the trailer. That seems strange and seems weird, right? Why would we do that when our gas tank is saying it's full? But what if we just were really worried? What if our body, in some ways, were worried that we wouldn't have enough or we wouldn't be near a gas station and we just kept filling up these cans? And then it's overflowing the car and we're strapping it down. This is a very funny analogy. I think you can see the point of this is that it seems ridiculous that we are storing way more gas for our car than we needed. So what do? When we stop going to the gas station all the time, the fridge, the grocery store, eating 10 times a day, snacking, we can start using up the stored fuel. You wouldn't need to go to the gas station. If you had this many gas cans, you wouldn't have to go for months and months. Now, for our bodies, we cannot go more than a day without electrolytes, etc. We can't just stop eating and use it all up unless you are very much being monitored by a doctor, and a very few scientific studies have shown that people can stop eating if they are monitored by a doctor. They usually have to stay in a hospital. That's an extreme situation. So we have to keep eating every day. So it's not quite a perfect analogy. There's no analogies that's perfect. So you would still have to go to the gas station in some ways, and eventually you see that the tank goes empty, you use up some from the cans, it goes full, empty, full, and that's where you're not just keeping it at full all the time and snacking all day long. Yeah, slowly over time we use up the stored fuel, and then we can keep a few in the back of the car. They don't have to be strapped on top. That's the one analogy. So this one is the house analogy. We live in a nice house with a garage. We add on another garage for 2 more new cars. We buy the property next door. We add it on. We build 2 sheds since our house can't hold all the stuff. We love to shop. We've got kids. We've got family. We, inherited stuff. Who knows how it happens, but we've got more stuff. We keep adding more storage sheds, more buildings, more vehicles to hold all of our stuff. And it's hard to keep everything clean. Stuff just keeps piling up. This can happen if you've lived in a house for a long time. I know this can happen for people. I've moved a lot in my years, so I keep downsizing a lot. But even if I've lived in a place for a few years, I realize it just builds up and piles up, and you have to downsize eventually. So this can happen just in regular life, but if you love to shop and inherit some things, or you just are really, love to get bargains, and then you don't really realize the beginning and then the end, and you look back and think, oh my goodness, what did the house used to look like? So you have a big sale, you go on the diet, and you have a yard sale and you say enough is enough, I want to go back to what I had originally, my nice house with my garage and a nice yard, and we're back to where we were. So that's an analogy of having too much stuff in a house or in a yard or, on a property. And it's an analogy of when we have too much fat on our body and we want to get back to a normal place where the house looks normal on that property. The third one is the closet analogy. This one's sort of my favorite because I can talk about the insulin in this one. So we have a regular closet, but we love fashion. We love clothes. I used to be a seamstress, so I would, make all my clothes, and I'd make clothes for other people. I mean, I'm still a seamstress. I just don't earn money off of it. I haven't forgotten how to sew. You get the point. So I didn't learn how to buy clothes. I was learning how to buy cloth. I worked at the fabric store. I learned how to buy cloth and make it and wear those clothes. And so I'm not very good at buying clothes. So if I see a sale, I'm a sucker for it and I will buy it on sale, not thinking, oh, is that actually going to look good on me? So I have a lot of clothes, unfortunately, that I don't really like. My default lately is to borrow clothes from my daughter so I don't make the mistake of buying clothes that I don't like. So I'm not very good at buying clothes. Well, I also had a school uniform when I was young, so then you don't have to make a decision. So this isn't me, but I like the analogy because we can understand it from the insulin. How does the insulin play a role? So we buy clothes and we've got a great closet and we keep it organized. We hire a professional organizer to help keep it organized. So the professional organizer would represent the insulin. We hire them, the organizer comes in and, keeps it all in place, and they know where to store everything, and there's a place for everything. But we keep buying more stuff. And so this professional organizer doesn't know what to do with it. So they take it, they put it into suitcases because this isn't a healthy way to live. You can't even walk in the closet. So they have to buy suitcases and they have to take stuff and put it up in the attic, and they have to take stuff and put it in the basement and maybe in a storage shed. And we keep buying stuff. We keep finding great sales, and it's just crazy. And so finally the professional organizer says, or we decide, okay, we've got to figure this out. So we sell or donate stuff, we downsize, and then we're back to a nice organized closet again. So that just is an idea of what the role of insulin is, the professional organizer, to say, where are we going to store this? And the professional organizer in this scenario would be the one to come along and find places to store all of this extra fashion and extra clothes and extra accessories. How many extra meals do we have stored on our body? So this is a rare time that you want to think about calories. A pound equals 3,500 calories. I estimate that an average meal is around 700 calories. Now that's not a huge meal. That's just an average meal. If you took breakfast, lunch, and supper and you divided it up. So I just felt that that was an easy number to use because there's 5 meals per pound. If we see it that way, 3,500 divided by 700 is the 5 meals. So a pound of fat would equal 5 meals worth of stored meals on our body. This is the little bit of math that you have to learn for the course. So your current weight minus your goal weight is the pounds you want to lose. The pounds you want to lose times the 5 meals per pound equals the extra meals stored on your body. I had 210 pounds on my body when I was my current weight. I had a goal weight of 130 pounds. That was 80 pounds I wanted to lose. So 80 pounds times 5 is 400 extra meals stored on my body. That's a lot of extra meals that my body has stored away. I can thank my body. I didn't always feel this way, but I can thank my body to say, wow, it's efficient. My body is able to store this extra food. When we were hunter and gatherers, we didn't know when the next meal would come around. We needed to store the meal. There was a reason for it. We haven't changed our body much, but now there's a grocery store on every corner. Most people are not in a state of famine or will be in a state of famine, but our body is still used to this, and our body is still used to holding on to extra energy if we give it extra energy. This is just another explanation of it. 1 pound is 3,500 calories, the average meal being 700 calories. So 3,500 divided by 700 is 5 meals per pound. Your current weight minus your goal weight equals pounds to lose. The pounds to lose times 5 meals per pound means your extra meals stored in your body. So figure out what that is for you. Go back and you say, okay, what is your current weight? What's your goal weight? What's that pounds to lose? Maybe you have 50 pounds to lose. Maybe you have 70. Maybe you have 100. Maybe you have 120. Maybe you have 200 pounds. Maybe you only have 20. Put that weight in there and see how many extra meals that you have stored. They're sitting there waiting for you to use up. How do you decide on your weight loss goal date? None of my other diets I went on would ever talk about this. Like, how long? How long is it going to take you? Now, the gym would say, oh, I can help you lose 20 pounds in 30 days. And another diet would say, I'll help you lose 30 pounds in 3 months, or 10 pounds in a week, or 5 pounds in a day. There's all kinds of people talking about that. They don't ever work, and we know deep down those don't work because those are the fad diets, and you come and go and you lose a little bit and then you plateau and you give up. So those never work long term. Never ever work long term. Even the TV show that talked about losing a lot of weight, almost 95% of those people gained the weight back in the end. It wasn't sustainable. It was so much at the beginning and it wasn't a sustainable lifestyle. How do we know when we are going to reach our goal date? This is super important. How many extra meals have you stored on your body based on that calculation we did in the past? And how fast you want to lose the weight? So some of this is what we want, how fast we want to lose the weight, but how fast can our bodies actually lose the weight? And what other life circumstances are going on? Maybe you have a situation, maybe you're bedridden right now, maybe you have an injury, maybe you have a family situation that's going on and you're going, okay, well, I can't do as much as I would like to, but I'm still going to start on this journey. And so look at the life circumstances you have going on, your career, your job, how busy you are. And so think about all of that and then decide on your goal weight. And I'm going to help you with this. Now there's 2 bonuses for this lesson, lesson number 3. Bonus number 2, countdown to slim down, a chart for your goal weight date. Goal weight date. I bet you hadn't heard those 3 words put together. Goal weight date. What does that mean? And I've been talking about it in this lesson, but now we're actually going to put it into practice with a chart. This is exciting. I know, I geek out on this kind of thing, but this is exciting for me. So countdown to slim down. This is how we are going to be starting to chart our goal weight, chart the date to get there. And there's going to be at least 5 charts over the next few lessons that are really important and that worked for me to help me on the journey to lose the 80 pounds. I have a little bit of a description here, a little bit of how to in terms of the printing so that you can decide if you're going to print the color version or the grayscale. The challenge for this, because I needed to make it universal for whoever was going to be downloading this bonus, I couldn't really make one based on if people had 50 pounds to lose or 60 or 70 or 80, each of those increments. And so this is an example of someone who has 50 pounds to lose. I'm hoping that you can see that you can adapt this and you can create your own chart if you want to. I have a yardstick or a ruler and I get a big piece of paper, or you can use a small piece of paper too, but you can create your own chart if you want to also. This is just an example, and if you would like to download these, feel free to. And this is why I provided these. Hopefully that will help. This chart starts at the bottom. So most charts, usually we start at the top. This one starts at the bottom. This is an example of someone who has 50 pounds to lose. We put in our current weight on the far left column at the very bottom, and we enter it all the way up. This is what the blank chart looks like. So it's empty on the far left column. When you enter your weight all the way up in 5-pound increments, then you get to the top and that would be your goal weight. You're putting your current weight and your goal weight on the same chart. If you have more than 50 pounds to lose, you can print off another page and then you can tape them together and you add it to the top, and then you've got your nice title, the weight loss goal date tracker at the top. And so the extra page is actually underneath. And start your current weight at the bottom and go all the way up to the very top, which would be your goal date. This would be an example for someone who has 100 pounds to lose. Going back to the example that I have, when you enter the date that you're planning to lose those first 5 pounds, you're going to enter that date on this middle column. I can't emphasize this enough, how important this is, where you are having a goal. And unless we have a goal and we plan it out, we very rarely meet a goal. This is in business, in companies that you work for, in jobs, in family life, and all kinds of things. If we don't actually have a goal and a goal date, say we're going on a vacation, we know the date of the vacation. Having dates is really important. I had no idea how important this was until I actually did it and followed through with it and realized that was so simple, so incredibly simple, and yet so profound in terms of making it so that I would reach the goal. Now, it wasn't perfect. I was off by 2 months, but I still reached the goal. And if I hadn't have had this chart, I know I would have treated it more like a fad diet and I wouldn't have been successful. This chart, and there's one other chart, which I'm going to talk about in a later lesson, was one of the most important thing. And it's been hard to explain this to anybody because it takes a little bit of explanation. So I haven't even talked about this in any of my videos on YouTube up until now. And so this is the first time I'm actually showing it because I felt in this course it would be easiest to show this. Step number 3 is you enter the date that you actually lose each of those pounds. When I was losing the weight, I estimated that I would lose 5 pounds a month. It is talked about, especially by some of the doctors online, that they talk about losing 1 pound a week. So 5 pounds a month and 1 pound a week is close. You know, it's 1.25 pounds a week to lose 5 pounds in a month compared to 4 pounds in a month. It's very, very close. You can choose to say, you know, my life circumstance is a little crazy right now. I'm just going to do 1 pound a week. So 4 pounds a month. Maybe estimate it like that. If I were you, I would choose between those two, 4 pounds a month or 5 pounds a month. Pick which one that's going to be. So if you have 50 pounds to lose, then you can actually plan the date. If you're going to lose 4 pounds, how many times does 4 go into 50? If you're going to lose 5 pounds per month, how many times does 5 go into 50? That's an easy one. 5 pounds and you have 50 pounds to lose, that's 10 months. What is today's date? Then you can figure out the end date. You can actually figure out your goal end date and know that it's okay if it changes by a couple months. At least you've reached the goal. Having that goal and having these little incremental goals of 5 pounds is so important because it gives us a little chance to say, hey, I did that. I succeeded in losing those 5 pounds. I'm never going to gain that weight back again. Those 3 steps are really important. And so as you start to lose the 5 pounds, you don't enter it until you've actually lost each of those 5 pound increments. You start entering it on the far right column. This is what it would look like when you've completed it. Weight loss goal achieved, 5 gold stars. And you can fill this in and frame it. Frame it if you want to. Celebrate your accomplishment once you have completed it. For an example, if this was you, you're only off by 1 week out of those 50 weeks. You know, you're 1 week late compared to what you had planned on. Assume you're going to maybe be 2 months late, but plan for the 5 pounds per month or the 4 pounds per month. Plan it and put those dates in before you lose the weight. Put the dates in. And then you can look forward to having the chance at the end of each of those 5 pounds, you get to go and put that date on there. This is just that example of the 100 pounds again. This is the color version that you can print off, and this is the grayscale version that you can print off. This is really important, and I hope that you can download these and follow through and actually put this on your wall and get excited about reaching your goal weight date. Bonus number 3 is about SMART goals. I'm sure if you've been in any business, you've heard of SMART goals, you've been in the business meeting, you've been in the meeting with your boss, or maybe you're the boss and you've talked to people about SMART goals. And most people understand them, but how does it relate to weight loss? The SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. What do I want to accomplish and why? We talked about that in one of the earlier lessons. How will I know when I have accomplished it? Well, with these charts, and we're putting down the dates of when we lose the weight, that's how we'll know. We're going to see it as we progress. Achievable. How achievable is this? I believe personally it's achievable for almost everybody. If I can do it after the age of 50, after all of the health and life circumstances that I've gone through, it's completely transformed my life. Relevant. Is this the right time for me to be working on this? Congrats to you for saying this is the time that I want to dedicate to get a hold of my health and lose the weight for the last time. This is a relevant time. This is the time that you're wanting to do it. Time bound, when do I want to accomplish the goal? As in bonus number 2, that countdown to slim down chart, you're going to know when you're going to accomplish the goal. You're going to see the progress as you go along. And you're going to say, that's the last time I see that 5 pounds, and the next 5 pounds, and the next 5 pounds. You're going to see it. There is a time to it. You don't have to do this forever. It's not like some of the weight loss programs that go on and on and on and year after year, and you never actually achieve your goal. This is not that. This is different. You're going to plan on reaching your goal, and you're going to figure out all of the things along the pathway to get there. You're going to overcome those problems as you get to them. And that's my goal, is to help you on that path as much as I possibly can. I really, really want you to succeed in this, because I want you to be able to have a taste of the amazing feeling it is to reach and achieve this goal that maybe you also had for 40 years, the goal of being slim and staying slim and not having this burden of weight. So the SMART goals is setting sustainable, attainable goals. They're attainable and they're sustainable. This is just a little bit of an overview of talking about the SMART goals, and then these are the 2 that you could download. So the color version, the grayscale version. So download these and start writing down your goals. Just a reminder, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a registered dietitian, but I have over 40 years experience dieting, learning about dieting and nutrition, and that's what I'm bringing all of this information and all of my knowledge and all of my experience to this course and trying to help you with this. So I'm excited about the next lesson, and I'm going to see you in Module 2.